Here is called a box of grenades. Take these, throw them at enemy. God, throwing a box of grenades that is not primed, and you do damage with direct impact. Ogren. Once you have chosen a class, you can then pick a background and customize them. At the moment, there
I thought he was making a joke.
Changes that
it's an actual thing, oh god. You actually take a box of grenades and throw that as a blunt weapon. Hello and welcome to UX, and this is how to play Warhammer 40k Darktide with their channel Bricky. Yes, Bricky doing a Warhammer video, but not just Warhammer video, it's a Warhammer game video. It's Darktide. I saw the trailer of Darktide and fucking awesome game so far. Everything about it is perfection. Yeah. I remember, that Hive City fighting element from it, which felt different, right? Because I think you don't play as Space Marines. In this, you play as like, Inquisitors, basically inside thing, right? Space Marine usually implies that you fight invading horde, fight some, Tyranid, something like that. In this, you're supposed to root out chaos and things like that, go to Hive Cities. I hope it's not just simple like do this objective and shit like that. It's more complex than that, right? It has more feel to it, like small things makes it more, lore realistic. Even though there are objective, it feels like a big mission that you uncover things into. I hope it's a game like that. But yeah, Bricky will definitely cover all that shit, so let's watch it. Remember to like my and don't subscribe, so I know which type of videos to react to more. I love Warhammer 40k universe. I try to react any video that I can find. I feel like, oh, maybe I should do this. I don't know. There are way too many channels, way too many videos. Hard to know which to react or not. So yeah, but Bricky is usually like a basic thing kind of guy. Like he touches things on the surface, and he's the best guy for that. If you don't want to go deep into the subject, and in 40k, if you go deep into subject, you'll spend hours watching it. Brick is best summarizer, I guess. So let's do it.
Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently being lobotomized for the glory of the Imperium.
Okay.
Oh no, they botched the surgery.
Holy shit! Poor servitor.
Welcome, rejects, to...
Oh, poor, sad servitor. I mean, it feels redundant to say that, right? Poor, sad servitor. That by definition, their situation is sad. But see, that's so fucked up. They're becoming this husk. They're like being lobotomized to this husk of an entity. And they're like, oh, no more mind. I mean, how sad it is, right? I mean, I remember watching Lutin's video on that, like how fucked up the servitor situation is that, right? And just seeing like somebody going through that process hurts, right? Just thinking about it. Like if you try to empathize with them, it just hurts. But then you realize like, oh no, in the process they're fucked up, and the person knows that their mind is floating away. How sad is that?
Atoma Prime, I am John Warhammer, and there is a possibility that you have stumbled upon Darktide and thought, wow, this game looks fun. But I don't really understand what's going on here. What is this weird variant of zombies? Why does everything look like a cathedral?
My God,
why so much organ music? Who is the God Emperor? Nothing has been more fun as of late than playing this game with a group and getting to tell them all about every little aspect of the title. I definitely get annoying when I do. So in order to preserve my friendships, I can instead point to a video right here and not only teach you about your place in the universe of Warhammer 40k, but also how to play Darktide. And luckily, I can do so with the help of Darktide. This video is sponsored by Warhammer Darktide. This is the brand new 4-player co-op experience from Fat Shark, creators of the esteemed Warhammer Vermintide games as well. And it is a delightful day when I, John Warhammer, can be sponsored by Mr. Warhammer themselves. So I will show you all how to be a fantastic servant of the Emperor and fight heresy in his holy name. But first, if you want to play...
Imagine that, right? A creator like Bricky. Holy shit, I'm officially sponsored in Warhammer. Yes, finally, I made it. Obviously, it doesn't much matter, but still, I mean, him being a Warhammer fan, obviously, his channel is not fully Warhammer, right? He sometimes does Warhammer videos. Maybe something to, oh, look at that, Warhammer was... Obviously, Fat Shark, but same thing. In this one, but seriously, the game, I just remember, like, how the fuck I forgot the classes, right? I hope he plays as a Psyker, because I love the fucking psychic flamethrowers there.
anything you see on the screen right now, you can check out DARKTIDE down there in the description and grab it for yourself. It is Nurgle's got me. It is excellent because if you haven't played the game, the rest of the stuff here might go a little over your head, unless you're just Mr. Warhammer. And if that's the case, then awesome. You're already more than prepared. But if not, do check it out in the description. It is excellent. It is a lot of fun. Would recommend it. Am sponsored? Yeah. Still fun? Yeah. Let's talk. For starters,
seriously, man, the people who don't know Warhammer at all, this game would be like any Warhammer game would be. What the fuck is happening? I'll come across games that can be confusing because maybe you missed a game of that and this is sequel or something. But Warhammer's lore is so big, it would really go over your head if you know nothing about that.
Chat lore.
Oh, god damn it.
Warhammer 40,000 is a sci-fi and fantasy hybrid taking place in the 41st millennium. In this world, hell is real and is a genuine threat to civilization. Humanity was once led by a 10-foot-tall godlike being known as the Emperor of Mankind. And through his strength and genius, led humanity across the stars to conquer a million, yes, a genuine, non-hyperbolic million colonized planets. 10,000 years ago, 9 of his 18 sons led a rebellion that, despite eventually failing, left him a shattered and dying corpse atop a golden throne to be fed 1,000 souls of humans a day in order to survive. In those 10,000 years, humanity's main governing body, the Imperium of Man, have taken him up as a martyr and have slowly degraded into a religious fascist state. To be a part of the Imperium is to know untold violence and war for a better part of your life. The Emperor, the God Emperor, is the only true divine being in the galaxy, and you will serve him and his Imperium until your dying breath, in which you will then be transferred into corpse starch to be fed to other people. In the world of Warhammer, there is no greater gift to mankind than to die in the Emperor's service. If you truly want a good picture of what it's like to live,
I know this is not much of consolation. Yeah, corpse starch feels like, what the fuck? But then again, people bury themselves, then nutrients go to the, land, and that's where the, land becomes more fertile over time, right? I don't know. Yeah, you came from the nature, you go back to the nature, you help the nature. I don't know, there's something like that.
In the Imperium, just read the
cut out the middleman, direct corpse starch.
Each of them is pinpoint accurate. Here at this planet, we have Atoma Prime and its major hive city, Tertium. Tertium is a city that holds billions of people and is basically if New York City was multiplied 10 times over and stretched into atmosphere. That is what a hive city is. And hell has gotten loose in Tertium.
What? Planet doesn't have that. This hive city has billions of people. How does... I mean, people say that living in Tokyo is depressing because of how it's condensed and how many, people just live top of each other. They're just skyscrapers. It just feels depressing. Imagine living in some shit like this. Cities just rising to the skies. You can't even see the skyscrapers. It's that tall. So incredibly large city and billions of people live there. The depression would be like, holy shit.
And one of Hell's 4 major gods, the Chaos Gods, has sought to infect it for their own game. This Chaos God is Nurgle, god of pestilence, disease, decay, and death. Nurgle has infected this place from the lowest dredges of the working class all the way up to the spires of the rich and powerful. Now, normally, like any good Imperial citizen would, we would bomb it from orbit. But Tertium has many strategic assets that make it worth taking back. Problem is we don't have the manpower to do it with our traditional soldiers. And that's where you come in. You are one of 4 separate classes prepared to be executed for some discretion to the Imperium, lack of faith in the Emperor, insubordination, dereliction of duty, or maybe just looking the wrong way at a higher up. These all carry punishment of death. But what greater pleasure is there than to die in the Emperor's service? So out of the holding cell you go, and into Tertium you arrive.
Living on a pleasure world, sipping margaritas, maybe that's better, I don't know.
is to kill the servants of the plague god and to redeem yourself in the God Emperor's holy light. First, you must pick your reject. You have 4 total options, with each of them having a variety of playstyles. First and foremost, we have the veteran, a veteran soldier of the Imperium's main fighting force, the Imperial Guard. Guardsmen are hardened soldiers, strong in faith but stronger in martial prowess. Typical Imperial Guard battles use guardsmen as fodder in order to soak up the enemy's big guns to allow them to be blasted with tanks, artillery, and aircraft. You are a veteran in an army with a 90% mortality rate on their first deployment. Fear the old in a profession where men die young. The veteran will operate as your standard, just kind of range damage specialist. You gain bonuses to headshot damage, have extra ammo, and can utilize your main ability to highlight special enemies and do extra damage against them. Every class has a primary weapon, a melee weapon, and a grenade that is specific to each class. Your grenade, as a veteran, is a grenade, but you see, nobody else has that type of grenade, so in a horde shooter, being able to chuck Mr. Bombastic is a lot more helpful than you realize. You aren't the fastest of the classes, and your stamina is a bit low, but Darktide is a 50-50 ranged and melee game that sways depending on the class you play. The veteran is saying, good luck getting me to use my shovel. The zealot is the horse girl of the 41st millennium, when you take faith in the Emperor and make it your whole personality. Hoes be asking for men over 6 feet, but skipping on the number of heretics set aflame. You don't know when to shut the fuck up about the Emperor, which one would think ever shutting up about the Emperor is a bad thing. But even the most devout Christians don't get on their knees and praise Jesus when McDonald's ice cream machine was working. The zealot is simply built different.
All will unfold as the beneficent Emperor wills. The Emperor demands you die!
The fuck up. I don't know. I'm just imagining text-to-speech device, just that scene, right? Where it's Emperor, I'm just imagining him saying like, shut the fuck up, you're constantly screaming in my head. I'm trying to think right now.
The zealot has high stamina, but the same relative health as everyone else. However, you also have a meter called toughness. Think of toughness sort of like a shield before you take actual health damage that is regenerated by being near your other teammates, stacking higher per person. You know what else regenerates your toughness? Glorious melee combat. You know who generates even more toughness in combat? The zealot. You push towards the melee side of that 50-50 split and decide the best way to deal with a heretic is to run at them screaming at the top of your lungs and introduce their face to your blade or chainsaw or hammer. You have a large stun
I'm not sure that feels realistic. They should have done more damage thing. Like, if anything, your toughness goes down if you attack with a melee, because what is making them stronger? They don't have this, you know, Astartes armor or something. You know, what is realistically making them tougher? You would be like, you know, they're zealot, so it just, you know, they have this urge in them, right? They just feels, you know, to them it's just, you know, amping them up. So the damage should go higher if they're trying to melee like that. Like, damage would go incredible, but toughness actually, you know, debuffs. Like, you would take much more damage, but your damage would go up. That should be the thing. Not that this would just make it feel like, what are the fucking Astartes or something? They are literally head banging everybody, you know, hitting them with machetes or whatever, and they're actually not dying, opposed to at the distance where they would die. That feels weird.
Grenades great for crippling hordes and overall just excel in melee combat, sometimes even getting benefits for being low on health. Because martyrdom is a blessing. Because what greater gift do we have than to die in the Emperor's service? Health is a social concept to the zealots. You will run into battle with 1 HP, completely regenerating toughness to make you an unkillable god while simultaneously murdering everything in your path. Now, I mentioned already, hell is real, but one might ask, can you utilize hell for your own game?
Yep.
Well, the unfortunate psychers don't get a choice. A psyker is a special mutation of humanity that allows them to reach into hell, or in this case, hell is known as the warp, to allow for special powers. The problem is that reaching into hell means hell can reach back. And the more you push yourself, the more you reach into the warp, the
I know he's saying hell, but warp is just means it's just the void, right? Like, it's what it is. The material world is an exception. Warp is basically everything. Everything manifests in the warp. Chaos part of the warp can be seen as hell, right? I guess.
more more problems you're going to have. Also, since you're a mutant, you and the Zealot are just the best of friends.
I see how you all regard me, as if I'm something inhuman. Well, I'm glad to be so.
If ye renounce your humanity, ye renounce the God Emperor's light! I will see to the brink.
You do know you're touching me?
Listen, Psyker! I grant you that! It's called skill, Zealot!
The Psyker is your classic
I love this
mage
game, man.
style character.
The banter is
Rather
awesome.
weak in terms of stamina and health, but absolutely loaded in terms of damage. What keeps you in check damage-wise isn't ammunition or stamina, however, it's your peril meter. The perils of the warp come in many ways, and the higher that percentage becomes, the more problematic it'll become for you.
Oh yeah.
What you get in exchange for this is all manner of psychic powers. The main one is just popping heads of enemies, which does extreme damage, but chain lightning, warp flame, just AoE explosions, you name it. The Psyker has it. Your only downside is your personality.
So many voices in the shadow!
And finally, what if you just don't want to think? Not because you want life.
Yeah, it just goes hand in hand, right? Like, so very face in the shadow. I mean, everybody's crazy in Warhammer, so that. But seriously, the cycle thing where the meter just builds up. What if you find yourself there are no enemies around? I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen in this game. But at that point, will you just explode? That's just fucking ridiculous.
To be easy, but because you genuinely don't know how to think. Well, Ogrins may be for you.
Oh, here he
Ogrins
comes,
are
bros.
enormous abhumans that trade any possibility of intelligence for pure muscle. In the lore, the Ogrin you play as has a special chip installed to drastically increase his intelligence. So you're currently playing the smart one.
This is our manufactured law routine. This place is ours.
Life as Ogrin is simple. You, big man. Little ones, small, need protecting. You do that, and then you break angry smaller ones upon your car lifting muscles. You specialize in tanking damage and crowd control. You do plenty of damage with your own weapons, both melee and range, but one would say that isn't your focal point. You can use these gigantic shields to tank damage, grenade launchers to deal with hordes, or better yet, just use your girth. Most
Use the melee
Ogrins
weapon,
barely
man.
even
Kill
have
the hordes.
infant level intelligence. One of the most famous Ogrins of all time was able to count to the number 4 without an intelligence chip. You may be smarter, but don't think too hard. This is why it's canon for ogre names to almost never be more than one syllable. You get powerful titles like Thud, Oof, Grud, Bang, Tug, Thork, Girth, so on. Story time. Someone goes up to the Ogrin, right? Says, all right, big fella, here's your weapons, right? You got your club, you got yourself your big old gun, and here is this called a box of grenades. You take these and you throw them at the enemy. The Ogrin thinks, take these, throw them at enemy. Got it.
Yeah. I was about to say that.
Your grenade is
I was just about to say that, like, if they cannot even count past 4, I mean, their attention span is not going to be good because they don't process that much. So if you explain them complex, tactics, like you take this grenade, remove the pin, throw it, no, that's not gonna work.
throwing a box of grenades that is not primed, and you do damage with direct impact. Ogrin. Once you have chosen a class, you can then pick a background and customize them. At the moment, there
I thought he was
isn't
making
a
a
ton
joke.
of changes that
It's
go.
an actual thing, oh god. You actually take a box of grenades and throw that as a blunt weapon.
Into where you come from or your story, but they are neat little lore, including tidbits and stuff. The character creator is next. You can make them look however you like. Again, this is all just cosmetic and for you. The actual face you can change in the in-game doctor whenever you feel like it. The number one most important thing you need to care about is your character's voice lines. This is not changeable after character creation at the moment and is a massive part of the game. Unlike Vermintide that had specific characters, each class has 3 voice lines per body type. If you pick a masculine or feminine body type, you'll get 3 different voice types with 6 different actors depending. Except if you're an Ogrim who has 1 body type. Thick. In Darktide, despite each character being custom
Steroids.
with their own appearance and name, the voice lines practically operate as your character's personality. There is also a Guardsman voice pack that can only be accessed if your homeworld is Cadia, which also allows you the special purple eye color too, so keep in mind that if you want to use that. The variety in these voice lines is quite high and will really help show the kind of character you're creating. Personally, I judge voice packs entirely on what they say when you activate their special abilities. For example, The veteran have three: the professional, cutthroat, and loose cannon. Professional is your tried and true strong guardsman. He's a career soldier and generally likable, so his ability voice lines are all pretty standard stuff.
Precision fire!
Like Gilliman is speaking or something, eh?
Engaging critical target!
The cutthroat guardsman was born on Cadia, which, he's not very happy about his home planet being gone,
PTSD
and he
a lot.
shows it.
I'm not I'm watching you. Always! Turn your coats, and I'll find ya!
Finally, the loose cannon is a fun one, complete with a ton of various mildly comedic voice lines. I personally find the professional my favorite, as it's not bad playing the everyman every so often, but I hear the loose cannon in games sometimes and I think, damn, there's some good voice lines.
So, Daddy, why are you all so puny? Magic, big man! Lots and lots of magic!
This continues with the other characters. The Zealot has various levels.
You can
of
feel a bit
piety.
smart while he's saying that.
The Psychers are all over the place, including an insane German man or person who thinks the Emperor is their boyfriend and other crazy shenanigans.
You are there, aren't you, beloved? It's ever so hard to hear your voice.
And the Ogren is the Ogren.
I can't hear nothing!
Okay, wait a minute. You're supposed to fight alongside all these classes, right? So how is this loose cannon saying that while zealots are not losing their mind, right? Like, you can't talk to Emperor like that. That's a heresy, and I don't know. I guess that's like going past certain line, right? Realistically, if this was lore-wise, there would be inner fighting that happens, right? I don't know.
Funny Slavic Ogren, angry mad Orc Ogren, or the physical incarnation of 8 Xenos, 8 Chaos, love me Emperor. Simple as.
Not sure how I got here. Don't much care.
When this is all finally done and complete, you may hop into your game, travel around the Morning Star, see all the world, and realize that devotion to the Emperor can even be present through the architecture of starships. When you get to the holomap in the center of the table, you have multiple missions with 5 separate difficulty pips. Don't even think about doing anything above level 2. When I was level 10 out of 30 on my character, I was still mainly only doing level 2s with the occasional 3. So start with 1s. You will want to familiarize yourself with the game as much as you can without too much pain. Each mission will have a rough difficulty time frame of between 15 to 30 minutes depending on difficulty. The main objective is to move from one point to the other and do anything and everything the sassy tech priest tells you to do.
I have complete confidence in you. Was that convincing?
As you move through the mission, you will do a combination of killing enemies, looting for supplies, looking for currencies, and objectives such as holdout points, auspex scans, objective.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I think all this credit goes to all these YouTube channels, right? Like all these different spin-off type channels that do Warhammer content, right? They're like that text-to-speech device, right? Then there is that Flash gets one that does the furry stuff or whatever. So much parodying and making fun of this universe, as just amplified that. I mean, I'm pretty sure before, like 10-15 years ago, games like this Warhammer would not have this kind of conversation then. But this kind of a comedic style, it just became famous because of this channel. I bet it's because of that. And it's always awesome to see it like that. Was I convincing? That was so good.
Delivery and more. When it comes to enemies, Nurgle has certainly blessed quite a few of them, and there are a shockingly high volume of enemy types. You have regular Chaos Cultists and Poxwalkers that make up fodder enemies, with armored soldiers being tougher and harder hitting.
And
you also
demons,
have Chaos Guardsmen equipped with ranged weaponry that can suppress you and do a staggeringly high amount of damage if left unchecked. But the specials you need to look out for the most. You've got Maulers, Ragers, Volley Gunners, Shotgunners, Tox Flamers, Mutants, Poxbursters, Bombers, Snipers, Trappers, Plaguehounds, Crushers, Bulwarks, and Reapers for Mass Effect. Yeah, there's a lot to deal with. Honestly, most of these you'll figure out on your own when you see them, and the only specialized way to deal with some are when you get to the higher levels. Don't let the sniper shoot you, don't let maulers hit you, and don't let dogs pin you. It's pretty—
Wait a minute, so you have to know how to fight them, is that it? I hope that's not the case with the giant, right? I always forget his name. Ogren? Whatever is it? Ogren, I think, right? I hope that's you don't have to remember how to kill them when you play him, because it doesn't make sense. Like he can barely count to 4. How is he supposed to know how to defeat them? I guess if you play as him, you should have been able to brute force everybody, right? I don't know.
Self-explanatory, and with practice, you'll find a way to deal with all of them. If I have any like real true advice to give to new players, it's to stick as a team. Not only is it advantageous from a people who go alone die point of view, but it's also advantageous from a genuine game mechanic point of view.
It's
your
fun, the
toughness
corners and
regenerates
everything.
faster when you are with your team, and that affects stats with more players. Staying as a team is smart from a coordination and mechanical point of view. There's even a little bip, blip, pip boy down in the bottom left-hand corner that shows who is in coherency. Not to mention, there are often feats and abilities you get that assist your teammates in coherency, so stick together. Move as a team, play as a team, because if you move alone, you die alone. You'll find things around the map to help you survive, often ammo being the main one. The rule of thumb is that the veteran should have priority ammo-wise, then the Ogryn, Zealot, and finally Psyker. Though the Ogryn and the Zealot can kind of flip-flop depending on whether the Ogryn built for melee or the Zealot brought a flamer. The veteran should get ammo priority, and then you can pick between the two depending on what weapons they brought. So stop stealing my fucking ammo. If you want me to kill that sniper looking to give you a haircut, maybe don't hog the ammo for your fucking machine pistol, Zealot.
Did you just take the fragging ammo again?
It was mine.
Other than rain.
What the fuck did you just take the freaking ammo? Oh my god.
Fragging ammo again?
It was mine.
Other than random ammo, you will find
God, the
mid-packs and
conversation
ammo
is so
crates.
good.
These will be dropped when you want them and then can refill both you and your teammates' ammo or health back to full. Health will go until that little purple bar. What is that purple bar? Well, you see, Norgal might be convincing with that award-winning smile, but some people don't get convinced easily, so they need to be corrupted. This is your corruption meter. The purple will never be healed when you are healed. The only way to get rid of this is to find the healing stations known as medical servitors. In Warhammer 40k, artificial intelligence is considered one of the largest forms of heresy. Have you ever noticed that when you put down a data interrogator, it has a little human skull in it? That's because it is a human skull with a human brain in it, acting as a computer. Gather around, children, gather around. Papa Bricky is going to tell you about how we make servitors in the Imperium. A servitor is generally a criminal that has been lobotomized, dissected, dismembered, and put back together in a robotic form to serve as a slave for the wider Imperium. There is a high chance that if you, reject, were not executed.
Do they even consider slave at that point? They're just an object, right? Because they're lobotomized, right? Slave implied they still have the free will, but you basically enslaved them, right? At this point, you removed everything that makes them a person. They are literally a machine or something now. That's just so fucked up, man. Seriously, especially the first clip where it's just like my mind is fleeting away, like goddamn.
For your crimes, you would have suffered this fate. Sometimes the lobotomies are successful. Sometimes, in rare cases, there is an issue of relapse.
Station functional.
What the fuck? This is just so wrong, man. God, I'm not using this system in this game. Fuck
So
it.
yeah, I'm just gonna walk really far away from that concept. Just that man gaining self-awareness again. If I don't think about it, the pain won't arrive. You know, smile. But this servitor will
Seriously,
fully heal
that's
you.
one of the saddest thing of the Warhammer I've seen yet. That says something. Like whole process of making a servitor is just so dark and fucked up. And then you add like they fucked up the job, right? They still have their consciousness. That's just and the dialogue is just like, I think the developers are making sure that they make you guilty every time you use the medical station. Oh, you want to heal? But yeah, I'm gonna torture you. I'm gonna make you depressed.
And all your corruption. However, do watch for the flashing lights below him. This tells you how many charges it has. On hard difficulties, this will have fewer and fewer, so make sure you don't rush to it and use it instantly. Save the charges for the right people. Other than that, you can just look for materials such as plasteel, but that's just if you feel like doing a little bit more exploring. Once you finish the mission and extract, you'll be rewarded with XP and currency. With experience comes feats. These are basically like perks that you get every 5 levels, and you get 3 to choose from and can be swapped out whenever you're not in a mission. But what do you do like outside of a mission? Well, people often forget that the Imperium runs on faith, but not faith alone. They also run on murder money. Heading over to the servitor in charge of arms, here you can get more weapons and gear like curios, passive trinkets, or other things that have ratings and rarities that you can enhance or forge with a tech priest at a higher level as well. The higher your level, the more feats you get, the more curio slots you unlock, and the more weapons you have access to. A veteran may just start with the las gun and auto rifle for their ranged weapons, but with time, you might get other variants, styles of las gun, or even bigger, chunkier things like the bolter or the
I think they should add the dialogues there. Like if somebody like a veteran, basically Astra Militarum soldier, becomes even better and better and just survives. If when you go to a certain level and you get better weapons, I mean, lore wise makes sense. Like why would you use better weapons on somebody who's just gonna die? But if you survive a lot, people are gonna, okay, I guess you deserve a bigger weapon. You're probably gonna survive. So there should be a dialogue like that. Oh, look at that. Never seen anybody survive this many encounters, but apparently there you go. Take this gun or something like that. There should be a dialogue like that.
hot plasma gun. And from there, you're off to the races, my friend. With levels comes upgrades. With upgrades comes weapons. With weapons comes contracts. And with contracts comes upgrades again. And so on. Oh, wait. I forgot something. If you ever hear whispering, like a lot of whispering, just standing still and whispering, go ahead and shoot them. It's an enemy of the Imperium, right? It would be wrong of you not to kill it. Do it. Shoot them. Do it. Shoot them. Wake them up now. Kill them now. And that, my friends, is how you play Darktide. Despite the tutorial in Psychonim, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming for people who don't have a ton of experience in either this game.
What was that the last thing he said? It was like some kind of special enemy. If you hear the voices, shoot them, they just awaken, you fight them like a special boss type of thing. Is that it?
Genre or the Warhammer 41st Millennium world. Final statement, the Psychonim does have something called the Meat Grinder. If you ever want to test out your character's voice lines, weapon damage, or enemy interactions. I really love Darktide so far. I really appreciate them sponsoring this video. I would pick it up. I know I'm sponsored. I don't care. It's great. I do recommend it. It is in the description. I would give it a look. I will be seeing you again in only a couple more days for another video on this game. So stay tuned. Are you going to the Warhammer Open in Vegas? And if you are, could you sign my Bricky waifu cup? I will be. I will be going to the LVO in Vegas.
Ah, God. Man, this game... Seriously, man, Bricky is so good. I mean, you don't get... Like, Bricky basically stand there and explain you things while showing certain scenes and clips, right? But something about his videos are so good that you don't find anywhere else. It makes sense of why his videos are one of the most famous videos there is. His Warhammer videos are really famous compared to even special Warhammer channels, if you compare them together. Like, everything, I've never seen any details about this game this good. Like he just showed, he just reviewed here. Like, this is so fucking good. The dialogues and everything, I like how if you stay together as a team, like, I love the screaming. Did you just take all the fucking ammo, the banter, right? In the past decade, the RPG games became better and better because of this, the banter and shit. Right? I think Dragon Age also had this situation, but I guess it wasn't. It was sometimes that happened, right? But it's just getting better and better. The complex AI system, where they recognize which player is where, and there's just dialogue exchange like that. This is so fucking good, and seeing this makes me think like next Elder Scrolls is probably gonna have a ridiculous element like this, because previous Elder Scrolls kind of had this. Companion commenting shit, but this is just next level, man. I love it, especially for a Warhammer game. This game feels really good, man. I'm definitely gonna play this. When the fuck is it coming out? Obviously, probably not coming. This is like a pre-access type of thing, right? Because he reviewed it. I don't know. Maybe I'll play it on this channel because I definitely want to play this game now. Alright, well, if you like my next video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.